Again, liability coverage: while acting as a volunteer at Tuacahn High School, you'll be acting as an employee and will be able to have liability coverage for legal action that might be taken against you so long as you are acting within your duties, the duties outlined. Please remember, you are acting as an official of the school and must always represent professionally as possible. Please always keep a reasonable degree of separation between you and the students. Avoid online or digital conversations and relationships. Avoid being alone with students. Never encourage students to engage in any activity off campus that would not be allowed on campus. If you're on a field trip or if you're on an overnight stay, the venue of the activity is essentially an extension of the campus. So it becomes a drug-free zone to the extent that we have control. So no smoking or consuming alcoholic beverages when you're within the view of students or in private rooms provided at school expense. Student records and privacy. Inside the main office of the school is where we find most of our secure student information. However, teachers do have access to sensitive information on their desktop computers, and so as you interact with faculty in their classrooms, please be aware that you may find yourself in a situation where you are exposed to student confidential information that you should not be seeing. So to that end, all student records are private information and are generally never viewed by parent volunteers. All student permanent records are locked in a secure location in the counselor's office. Volunteers entering the administration offices should avoid viewing computer screens or listening to conversations that might involve private student information. For example, you're in the office, you're picking up a cash box, or you're picking up some other information for your event, and one of the administrative staff is on the phone and they're speaking with a parent, and it becomes very obvious that this is sensitive information. You should do what you can to remove yourself from the office until that has cleared. They should also be cautious when entering administrative or faculty offices where sensitive student information may be located on a staff member's desk. Any student information obtained by accidental exposure should be held confidential. Volunteers should assist faculty with administrating confidential health and safety plans while away from the school, and will be encouraged to seek out this information from the faculty or administration prior to departure. So, if you have a student who is going with you on a tour or on a field trip and they have a specific health plan, maybe they're diabetic and they have to have particular supplies, we encourage that you have a discussion with the faculty advisor to make sure that you are aware of any special health circumstances that you may need to interact with while volunteering or chaperoning on this event. Signing in and obtaining volunteer tags. Volunteers should sign in with the front office when they are involved with a school activity. If you're helping with an after-hours dance or concert, please sign in with the faculty advisor of the event. A sign-up list will be found in the cash box for after-school events if one is present at the event. The Booster Club will provide you with a name identification badge if it's a booster-sponsored event. If you're here on some other chaperoning event or another volunteer event, you'll pick up a volunteer lanyard from the front office and need to wear that while you're acting as a volunteer. Signing in is important, and identifying yourself is essential. Emergency procedures, again, if you're traveling away from the school, we have prepared a volunteer pack which contains a review of the information you're getting today. Excuse me. It also contains basic emergency procedure protocols that the faculty volunteer will be responsible for carrying out, but that you can also become aware and familiar with as you are participating in the event. General guidelines, again, health and safety, dial 911. If you feel that a student's health and safety is in immediate danger, And first dial 911 and involve emergency response personnel. Then contact the faculty supervisor, and then together with the faculty advisor, call the school administrators or Officer Norman, our school resource officer. Disciplinary concerns, again, we're not asking you to be the disciplinarian. We're asking you to be our eyes and our ears and help the faculty supervisor enforce and employ school discipline. So again, contact the faculty supervisor if you become aware of some policy infractions. And then together, you'll call the school administrator or the school resource officer. In-school emergencies, evacuations, or lockdowns, again, the faculty supervisor will take the lead, but you may review these procedures and policies in our guidelines, in the emergency response procedure guidelines. So, Tuacahn High School does reserve the right to remove parents from the approved volunteer list if at any time a volunteer's behavior places student safety at risk. So I'd like to just now kind of go over some general do's and don'ts, things that are important for us to all understand. So in general, always dress appropriate and modest for the school activities. Avoid situations where you are alone with students. Always obey traffic laws and safety belt rules. Always try and locate the Tuacahn High School faculty or staff when any action is required. Always dial 911 if there is a life-threatening injury or a safety situation. Always assist the faculty and staff with enforcement of student policies. Always ask the faculty trip or school representative to review any health plans for students participating. This is a student has diabetes, the student has an allergy. These are things that we need to be aware of as a volunteer. If you're staying overnight, if you're an overnight chaperone, all of what we just reviewed would apply, in addition to the following. Students should not be released on their own to leave a campus or property. They need to be supervised. Students in groups of 4 or more may attend workshops together on the same property where the chaperones and school events are found. Students in groups of 4 at a theme park where you meet at the entry gate and at a specific time is appropriate. They should never be allowed to leave this property without an adult chaperone visit. So just a case in point, if a group from Tuacahn High School ever were to attend or to travel to Disneyland, while at Disneyland, inside the gate, an adult supervisor does not have to have visual contact on students at all times. The park is designed with its own security and a system for identifying students through paging systems, etc. However, if a student was to travel to Salt Lake City to perform and they're staying at a motel in downtown Salt Lake, it would not be appropriate for students to leave that property without adult supervision. They shouldn't. Thank you. Let's move on. All students must be in their rooms at a posted curfew. Random room checks may be conducted but should be done with another adult chaperone or faculty member. Do not hang out in the student rooms. So that pretty much wraps up the basic training for our volunteers. Now I know that we haven't covered everything. It's almost impossible to cover every possible scenario. The most important things you need to remember is that you are an assistant. You are helping the faculty advisor who has been trained, who understands more fully school disciplinary policy, school behaviors, and how that interacts with this activity. So be a great support. We are grateful that you're willing and able to help us in our attempt to enhance our school programs and offerings to students in a safe and effective way. So just to kind of wrap up, a couple of possible case scenarios or case studies that you might find helpful. Let's say that you as a student or as a parent volunteer observes a student smoking or using some other controlled substance on a field trip. What do? The volunteer should seize the tobacco or drugs if possible and escorts the student to the faculty advisor. Do not leave the student alone. If the faculty advisor is not immediately available, leave the students in the presence of other parent volunteers while you go and seek out the faculty supervisor. The faculty supervisor will then assess the situation and notify school administration and the school resource officer. Application of penalties as per the trip contract will be carried out at the time, and school-wide discipline will be measured out upon returning to the school. Local law enforcement may be called if warranted, or upon SRO or administrative instruction. So that's just one possibility of an example of something. What would I do if I saw someone using tobacco? You should not search the student. You should just maintain contact with them and allow the proper authorities to do any searching that might need to take place. A second one, volunteer completes a room check and finds the student missing. So the volunteer would notify faculty advisor of the situation, and attempts to contact the students will be made by cell phone or other means. If they are not located shortly, parents will be notified if the student cannot be found. Local law enforcement may be called if any concern about the safety of the student exists, and school administration would be also notified. So the faculty advisor, if they're found, will then determine the penalty based on the trip contract and inform school if any additional action should be taken. So there's just a few scenarios. There are many. Again, we thank you for your willingness to participate in our volunteer program here at Tuacahn High School, and we look forward to having a great year with you.